Hey everybody, this is Monday, April 6th. It's my second video of the day, and if you missed the first one, I'm probably gonna even do a short third one because we were talking about the blood this morning, and I think I realized something important with the blood thanks to one of you guys and your comments, and it just changes the timeline. And I did have a comment, and I just removed the person's comment because if you're wondering why this matters, then you aren't a true crimer. Because true crimers, sorry, we dig into stuff we need to know. We're curious. And I think it's incredibly relevant, in my opinion, if the blood came after the perp comes up on the porch, but before the flowers or weeds are dropped onto it. I think it matters. So that video is probably coming up later today. So now back to the general. Okay, missing Air Force General William Neal McCasland's case. I first covered it just once, really, so far, because my first psychic hit was that he wanted to disappear deliberately. And I said specifically, maybe I'm watching too much Night Agent videos on Netflix, scenes and episodes, but that was my initial hit. I'm going to do another remote. I haven't done any remote viewing. Sorry. I'm going to do a remote viewing on him, other remote viewings, and one will be on him. But I want to cover first just the general stuff I found about this case. And wow, I can't say I feel the same for all the people that have gone missing in his circle. Watch this. This is crazy. But before you watch that, I want you to listen to his wife's 911 call, which was played just for us. Oh, when was it played for us? It came up April 4th. Today's the 6th, after I said that I get the hit that he's gone deliberately. Watch and listen.
Newly released 911 audio from the wife of a retired missing Air Force general reveals she believed he may have gone missing intentionally.
This is April. How may I help you?
Hi, April. My name is Susan Wilkerson. My husband is missing.
Okay.
And it's been about 3 hours, and I have some indication that he must have planned not to be found. He's left his phone. He changed his clothes into I don't know what.
68-year-old William Neal McCasland went missing on February 27th in Albuquerque, New Mexico. His phone, prescription glasses, and a wearable tracking device were all noticeably left behind at the home. Officials said a firearm, a holster, and a wallet were missing from that house.
So, as I predicted, is it possible, didn't predict, as my first psychic hit, if you will, download that I got, my interpretation of it is that he does not want to be found, that perhaps he's gone underground because his coworkers are winding up deceased or missing or unalived, or however it be the case, because there's that many of them now. Whoa, watch this. So I don't know yet. Like I said, I'm going to do further deep dives, and I'll do remote viewing on this to see what I get. But my initial hit on the general was that he did not want to be found. Cannot say the same for the others, though. Watch. This is wild. Watch.
Disappearance of William Neal McCasland and Monica Reza was a bit of a too much of a coincidence and strange, considering they are both to do with space tech engineering. This video is going to absolutely blow your mind, because the information I've just got now is, I mean, there's coincidence and then there's patterns. This is going to blow your mind, honestly. We know, because I've done a video on it, right, about William Neal McCasland, that's on 27th of February 2026, went hiking, went missing, okay? And then we found out recently that Monica Reza, 8 months prior to this, also went hiking and just went missing, okay? But there's a lot in the middle of this. Get ready. William Neal McCasland, February 27th, left his house, left his phone, left his glasses, took a gun, and then never to be seen again, right? His wife did a bit of a weird, strange tweet and almost like joking about it, like about him being abducted by aliens, which is odd. And in fact, yesterday's podcast with Jon Stewart, we talk about this. So
Okay. Well, forget the post for now because it's interesting at best. But we just heard the 911 call where she says she thinks her husband disappeared with the intent of not being found. And think about his past, right? Military training. Okay, let's keep listening.
that's strange, and he's still missing. Okay. Now, what you probably don't know is a man by the name of Richard Alfred Ferrimond also died the day before William Neil McCasland, who was a British airspace engineer, former astronaut candidate, reported death, natural causes. Okay, right, natural causes. However, this is where it starts getting a little bit more scary. Okay. On the same month of 2026, the 16th of February, Carl Grillmeyer, right, an astrophysicist, space observation and galactic research, shot at his property in California. He was shot at his own property in California. Now, before that, 8 weeks prior to this person being shot dead at his property, there was another person called Nuno Loureiro, okay? December 2025, a plasma physicist, fusion energy, and advanced propulsion research, shot dead at his home. 8 weeks prior to Carl Grillmeyer getting shot dead at his home. That's mad. It doesn't stop there.
That is what wild. And 8 weeks and 8 weeks. And not only that, I'm going to show you a video after this. The US specialists are not just the only ones disappearing. So I'm going to show you a video that tells what this might really be about. But keep watching.
October 2025, a couple months before, right? Jacob Pritchard, defense and intelligence analyst, domestic violence incident, he's dead. What the hell is going on? That's not all. Melissa Casas, June 2025, scientific advisor linked to Los Alamos Nuclear Defense Research Environment, walked into the wooded area and disappeared. And then it was Monica Reza, who also walked into a forest and disappeared. What is actually going on here? Now, what I'm going to talk about is...
Yeah, exactly. What the hang is going on here? And it's going deeper and it's going wider. Let's watch that. What is going on here? Exactly.
Now, what I'm going to talk about is the connection between all these people. Now, they're not all 7 of them aren't all connected like best buddies. However, there are similarities and overlaps, okay? So William Neil McCasland and Monica Reza, they're both linked to the US Air Force, okay? Aerospace R&D ecosystem. McCasland oversaw major research, right? He oversaw major research of what Reza was doing. Reza was the co-founder or co-creator of a alloy called monoloy, okay? Which is basically an alloy that could withstand a huge amounts of temperature for rockets that basically just, and it could be reused, okay? It was very strong and it could withstand, again, like humongous high temperatures. And it could also bend slightly and flip back into its normal shape, which is very similar, I might add, to the Roswell incident. The material, you know, that they found that could be bent and then flip back. However, I will have to say that the monoloy apparently has to have extreme pressure.
Okay. Like I said, I promised I was going to show you a different video, and I'm going to do that now because this channel, right, Casper Wright, believes there's a UFO connection, and it very well may be, but on another channel, a specialist thinks it's more to do with the war right now than anything with Iran and whatnot. But let's listen.
I want to ask you about the Chinese piece of all of this, and maybe even the Russian piece of all of this. So I wanted to talk to you specifically about this because over the past couple of weeks, a number of American scientists have gone missing.
Yeah.
that have worked on really advanced plasma technology. I think reverse engineering of advanced weaponry that may have come from UFO craft down to aircraft, and the reverse engineering. And you posted something interesting, which I think, because people get like bogged down. Oh, it's aliens, and you said, well, no, it's not aliens that are disappearing these American scientists all of a sudden. Maybe you can walk us through what you believe is actually happening.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna, and the reason I have to put these god awful readers is because I'm blind as a bat now. You mentioned the 6 American scientists, and this is where it gets really wild. This is the article that I'm getting ready to drop at NatSec Guy on Emerald.tv. I went in and I found that in mid-March 2026, 3 of China's top defense scientists, Zhao Jinggang, who's a nuclear weapons expert, Wu Manqing, who's a radar and metamaterials expert, Wei Yiyan, who is a missile systems expert, they were all quietly erased from the Chinese Academy of Engineering's website, which means they're no longer among the living. Then, just a few days after that, hypersonics expert Yan Hong, who's one of the key figures working on plasma aerodynamics, died suddenly at just 56 years old. So now what I did is I took that list of 5 Chinese scientists and I paired it with what those 6 American scientists were working on, and they have massive overlap. So what these scientists for the Americans were doing for our military, these 4 or 5 Chinese scientists were doing for their military. So what that tells me is that, and this is the conclusion of, spoiler alert, this is the conclusion of my essay. What this tells me is that there's shadowboxing going on between the United States and China. I think that this is a shaping operation in the run-up to the big war between the United States and China, and we're trying to take out each other's brain power, because the modern warfare map is not just about geography, it's not just about bullets and bombs and technology, it's about the people who make the technology and the bullets and the bombs work. And if you knock out the brain power, you've knocked out the ability to sustain high-end warfare, at least for a period of time. We saw, by the way, this is not the first time something like this has happened. There's a great show called The Americans, a large storyline on that show, and it was based on true stories, because I know it was based on true stories.
We live down the street from that house in Montclair, New Jersey.
That's right. And so they were killing Soviet scientists, they were trying to kill Soviet scientists, we were trying to kill Soviet scientists, they were trying to kill our scientists. The Iranians and the Israelis do it all the time. The Israelis whack Iranian scientists all the time. So this is not unprecedented in the annals of modern warfare. But what I find fascinating are the systems they were working on. I don't believe they were alien systems. I know we disagree on that. I think the United States and now Russia and China have for years been playing with very advanced systems in the desert, or in our case in the desert. And I think that they're actually many years ahead of what we have off the shelf. And I think all this talk about aliens and stuff, it's all very conveniently timed for a moment in which we know the Chinese have caught up to us conventionally, technologically. And so now suddenly we're saying, oh, we're bringing out, plasma and anti-gravity. Well, maybe it is real, but and I think it is probably real, but I don't know if it's from aliens. It might just be from Nazi scientists that we inherited at the end of the Second World War. I mean, who knows? But the point is, I think there's shadow boxing going on here between our intelligence service and likely the Chinese service, killing each other's scientists in this next generation technology arena before we even really get to World War III.
Philip, you were going to say something?
Before we even get to World War III, is this what this is about? Are we about to be in World War III with all this that's going on with Israel and the US and Iran? Like, I don't know. What do you think? Here's what I'm going to say. I sense it is. I think it's both. I think, and I'm going to show you Ross Coulthart in a minute, who follows the UFO stories for News Nation. I think it's both, because I believe, and I can show you pictures that would just blow you away. In fact, I should, because I was watching them the other day. The videos are out there. Before AI, we could do editing and stuff, but there's so many videos and statements, and people have come forward to speak in front of Congress about the UFO phenomena. And I believe governments have been hiding the truth about the UFO presence, UAPs, aliens, if you will, for generations, decades and decades. And I do believe some craft have crashed here. And I do believe that we have been communicating, just my, belief, in some ways with some beings, sentient beings, and we are learning to adapt their advanced technologies into our systems for war, for defense. And that's why I think it's a combination of both. I think these are also people that know about how to advance our warfare technologies using the technologies from these UAP spacecraft that have crashed here in Canada and the United States and around the world. I don't know what you think, but listen to Ross now. Listen to Ross now. So I had no idea News Nation was co-sponsoring or whatever these smaller podcasts. It's pretty cool. So here it is, reality check. Listen to this with Ross Coulthart. Listen.
G'day and welcome to Reality Check Q&A. I'm your host, Ross Coulthart, and please allow me to welcome the prophetess of paranormal phenomena, Megan Medic. G'day, Megan. How are you?
These are getting good, Ross. You're really digging deep for these.
I've been thinking about these. I think I've got to come up with a new term every week. Keeps people on their edge.
Well, I know you've got a ton of spare time to do that. So let me just start grilling you with these questions. Let's go to Mabode in our email. Hello, Megan and Ross. I am a believer of the psionic side of the phenomenon. I think right now is a very good time for all the self-claimed remote viewers that are in contact with you to locate General McCasland's location. No excuses. Skywatcher, psionic assets, whoever should now pass this test with ease and make us proud. Thanks, M.
Ooh, I catch the snide edge of judicious skepticism there from that writer. Look, yes, I do think it's a good idea to use remote viewers and to put them on their toes and see if they can actually prove their abilities.
I agree. Here's the challenge. And I'll let Ross finish this statement, but I'm assuming Ross has not done remote viewing and maybe doesn't know a lot about it. But in my experience, having done remote viewing, it's not ideal for pinning the location of someone. So, like I said, I'm going to do a remote viewing on the general, but remote viewing is more, it's more about impressions and the environment and what happened. And it's like I was saying, like, I'm just getting back into practicing. And so it's about holding a certain frequency without thinking. You're not thinking. You're trying to tap into a subconscious, if you will, state in your mind. And so it's like you want to be able to get these initial impressions and this perception, something that you can feel and sense. And often for me, and I think for most remote viewers, you get these flashes of scenes that that give you an intuitive impression on what their meaning is supposed to be. But for remote viewing to give you a specific location, I'm not aware of it being used for that. When I gave the FBI a specific location for Nancy Guthrie's captors and where I believe they took her back, although the energy dissipated a while back, they're not there now, but they were, in my opinion, probably another vacant home was what I had assessed. Anyway, that location I did through, I hold a level 7 Reiki certificate, and that's through pendulum work and energy using my hand like a dowsing rod would, or a pendulum. In remote viewing, you might be able to get show me where generally I am as far as like the climate am I in a mountainous state and things like that. But as far as getting a really specific address or GPS coordinates with latitude and longitude, I don't know of anybody that can do that. But let's listen to what Ross says a little bit further here now. Because I don't disagree with him. I think there could be a lot of benefit for remote viewers to send information, and I just don't know of one that could do location.
It's quite funny, actually. In the last few weeks, since sadly the general disappeared on February the 27th, there's been quite a few people who've reached out to me and suggested that remote viewers should be used to try to search for the general. And I've had 2 people contact me telling me a specific location, both of which differ.
Mm-hmm.
They differ from each other. So one of the people that engaged with me just a few days ago, I said to them, look, let's just give the information to the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office. At least they can do something with it and go and investigate. And they've told me they've done that, but they didn't get much of a response from the sheriff. I hope that somebody from the sheriff's office does go and have a look at the site that was given to them, because it did show buildings, possible military buildings, in an area that was a long way distant from Albuquerque, where the good general disappeared. But
So tell me what you think. Should I do some remote viewing on the general and whatnot after you've seen this? What do you think? Is this UFO? Is this war? And does it match my first impression on if we've got 6 military people with this kind of specialized knowledge missing and unalived combination of, right? Could the general, the last one to go missing, be hiding given what's going down, right? Deliberately. And so in the cases that I've worked with Find Me, and when I've sensed and figured out that this person does not want to be found for the reasons that are for their own safety, I never disclose location. I just FYI. So do all the YouTubey things, everybody. Thank you for being here. Love and light. And I will do a 3rd video today. So if you missed this morning's, go back and wait for, I'm just going to do a quick video on this timeline stuff with Nancy Guthrie. Love and light. Cheers.